Hey guys, Insomnia here with some more AFK Arena. Today we are back with our next guide, which is the second in a series. Today we're going to be covering the S-class heroes, which are most of what we use fall into the S-class. They are not quite the god tier that we have from White Sushi's guide. It is getting into more of the S-class and the heroes that we usually use. So let's go ahead and get into the guide. So as we start looking at our hero compositions, just like we did in our other guide, this is actually a newer one that I have started using regularly on my pay-to-win account. So if you've seen the pay-to-win account, this is the combination we've been using, which is Leica, Iran, Tassie, and then of course, Sophia and Rowan. So how it is set up in kind of the dynamic is if you look, Iran's pull will pull heroes right to the back line. So usually it consists of the three heroes that you see out here in the front, which is Brutus, Sophia, and Golas. Sometimes if Warwick comes down enough, you'll actually pick him up as well, picking 4 of the 5 heroes up, right into Iran's, right into Iran. But the caveat to this is with Sophia's Spectral Disruption, it negates some of the haste, some of the attack power, and boosts the attack power of Iran. So works in absolute perfect synergy with the combination of those two heroes. So not only do they reduce the enemy's attack and haste by 50%, heroes like Rowan and Leica make it possible, and Tassie with crowd control between all three of them. So Leica not only boosts haste, but she also boosts energy, as well as Rowan with energy, survivability with his potions, and of course with the stun. That's the one thing I've seen really big is his stun. And then Tassie, of course, has her banish. She can nullify some of the damage through her teleportation ability with her signature item. And she also has the ability to banish heroes, so providing another form of CC. To even make it better is when you look at Sophia, not only does she have the Spectral Disruption, is her ultimate Falling Sun does a truckload of damage, and she does Scatterbolts. So Scatterbolts stun as well. So you have a banish and a CC from Tassie. You have Leica, who does an armor debuff, making Iran do more damage, increasing the survivability. Iran himself does a ton of damage and CC. Rowan does CC. Sophia does CC. This team comp is very powerful. Some of the combinations that you can actually switch, so some of the substitution heroes are, of course, the shell of using Namora. So swapping Namora into the composition. One of the ones that I do use on my free-to-play account is Lucius. When they're running heavy damage, Lucius is very powerful, especially if he gets his shielding ability off. Plus his healing ability makes a very big difference. The other one is, if you don't have Tassie, is swapping in Falks. Falks and Tassie together do not work very well. As I found out, they don't have a lot of synergy, and they'll end up either confining or trying to banish the same target. So running them together doesn't provide additional CC. So make sure that when you're going for the team comp that you know exactly who you're kind of looking to build and what you're planning to build. Like I said, this is my favorite team comp that I've been using, and it's a newer team comp that I've been using on the free-to-play account. So this is the actual team comp that I use on, or the pay-to-win account, excuse me. This is the actual team comp that I use. So straightforward yet effective strategy, with only downside being position reliant, thus hard to pull off with enemy disruption. So if you have a confine, if you have a banish, a majority of the time it goes right on Iran, which can throw off this entire formation. Sometimes it goes in Sophia, which still can work with the formation. It's just if you take Iran out of the equation, most of the time this formation does not work. Next formation I want to talk about is one of my favorite that so many people do, which is of course the Thorin Cheese formation. So when you look at the heroes that we set in here, just like we had before, very similar. When you look at the combination here, You have Rowan that provides survivability and a stun. You have Thorin, who is the ultimate cheese. This is what the formation is built around. You have Lorazin, who will actually link enemies together. So when Thorin does his cheese ability, you can actually damage heroes in the front line as well as heroes in the back line just from the cheese ability. You have Iran, who is going to draw in 3 or 4 targets, possibly even 5 targets with his vortex ability, so pulling everyone again into Thorin. You have Nara, which again is pulling someone into Thorin. So everything is built around the Thorin Cheese ability at this point with this team comp. 2 other substitutions you can actually do with this combination is using Kelthar. Kelthar does a displacement, so he'll actually swap places with Warwick on the other side. Again, the only prime thing that you want to do in this formation is center everyone around Thorin, put everyone on Thorin. He is the primary target for all of this. With that being said, you can always use Athalia as well, just because when she attacks the hero, she actually kicks them back quite a bit. After her initial judgment ability, she'll hit the target and then push them back halfway through. Again, trying to get every hero to pile on top of Thorin. So this lineup, commonly known as the Thorin Cheese, revolves around repositioning enemies near Thorin for his retaliation skill. The build is so strong, and this is the big thing about the build, is players have been using this and the Thorin Cheese ability through every single chapter. If you go ahead and you look at your battles and you look at your older battles, which we can actually do right now. So when you go here and you go through the winning formation, you can see some of the heroes. A majority of the time when you're going through, you will find someone going through here that has used the Thorin Cheese ability. Which of course, because I'm looking now, probably not. But a majority of the time, even in chapter 29, I was always finding heroes that used the Thorin Cheese ability, which is very powerful. The final one in the S class is one of the relatively new ones, which relies on Arthur. Very powerful hero, very good in PvP, very good in PvE in the campaign, lot of usage, and this really revolves around him and Gwyneth. So Gwyneth, Thorin actually increases the stats or increases the normal attacks of Gwyneth, which Gwyneth's arrows either become electric arrows or they become fire arrows. So increasing the haste of her regular attacks maximizes her damage, allows her to put out a ton of damage. Combined with Rowan Energy Potion, Rowan attacking faster, not only with his basic attacks attacking faster, he can cause tiny bit of damage, but the energy regeneration is what we want because we want him to be able to get the stun. With this combination does come Taylene. So Taylene does a lot of damage, as we know, as well as Rose. So in this combination, we kind of want one of 2 things happening. Either we want Rose to follow Taylene, which is kind of ideal because Taylene does so much damage and increasing her damage even further, or Rose to follow Gwen in that avenue as well. The entire team revolves around getting the most damage out of Gwyneth as possible, with heroes like Arthur buffing her stats. And then the 2 substitutes for this one are Astrilda and Hendrik, which go kind of hand in hand. So even if you don't have Taylene, is Astrilda with her buff and her rework that she did, actually positioning more heroes in the back line, because what's going to happen is when Gwyneth attacks, she actually has the ability to ignite a majority of heroes with a dot over time, so maximizing the damage that we can get out of them. The other one, of course, is Hendrik. Again, he can push the front line, the enemy front line, right to the back line, stacking 4 heroes in the back. When Gwyneth's fire arrow goes off, it will ignite 4 of the 5 arrows on the battlefield, which is very powerful. So this formation, again, is an S tier formation. Most people are running one of these 3 formations as you're pushing further into the campaign. All of these formations have been chapter 30 plus, just like the God tier, but they're not as hard to get. They're not centered around Celestials. They're not centered around the Hypogeans. A lot of the heroes that are more difficult to get. is the S class. So even out of these team comps, I'm running 2 of the 3 between my accounts. The Thorin Cheese, I haven't really done successful. It's very, very hard to do, and it takes a lot of dedication. I've seen players that have focused on the Thorin Cheese and have done it very, very successfully, but sometimes it's 50, 100, 150 times before you get the luck of the Thorin Cheese. Thorin Cheese does seem to work a little bit better in the tower stages because you can kind of plan exactly how to do it. I've done it 2 or 3 times in the tower stage, but in the actual campaign, I never have. So let me know what you guys think of the guides. Again, this is another one from Reddit. This is from White Sushi. We're kind of breaking it down because the guides have a tendency to get very, very long. So these are the 3 teams for the S tier. So as we continue, we still have the A and B tier. So if you're using one of these heroes or one of these combinations, either the S tier or the godlike tier, you're progressing in the game very, very well. Some of the progression in the lower tiers, you'll find a lot of stopping points, and that's where these specific hero combinations have a great synergy together and have the ability to really push through the campaign. So again, let me know in the comments what you guys think, and as always, thank you guys for watching.